Hello, everyone. Hello, hello. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever it is that you're joining me across the world. It's 7 o'clock in my neck of the wood, and it's time to connect. All right. So it's great to have everybody joining us, whether you're joining us from LinkedIn, whether you're joining us from Facebook, or whether you're joining us on the red streets of YouTube. It's great to have you here. All right. It's great to have you here. Um, Okay, so I'm sending out messages on the dashboard as I do usually. So I want you to go ahead, share this link with as many people as you can. Put it on your starters, share it on onto your communities, all your pages, and let's get everybody to be part of this conversation. We are the last Sunday of the month of April, and I am absolutely excited. The last month of April, the last Sunday, rather, the last Sunday of the month of April. And today we're going to be wrapping up our three-part series, The Execution Gap. And it's been amazing. The feedback has been phenomenal. I mean, sometimes, guys, thank you so much. Many times I read what you write to me. Many times I hear what you're telling me, and I hear how amazing the series has been to you. I hear how much you're blessed by it. I hear how you've implemented a lot of things that you've learned from the Connect and how it is really just done great stuff for you. And you know the truth of the matter is that when I hear these things, I am glad. My heart is lit up, and I'm emboldened to do even more. So thank you. Thank you for your feedback. Thank you for keeping the faith. Thank you for staying with us Sunday in, Sunday out, right? And yes, we had an amazing time last week, or still this last week, yeah, because we didn't hold the Connect on Sunday due to my very packed schedule, but we had the Connect on Monday. And it was amazing. It was amazing when we talked about the second part of the series, and it's just been phenomenal. Just coming through. So we're wrapping up on the executions gap series today, and this episode is titled, as you can imagine, closing the gap. Right. So closing the gap basically is about bridging the gap, right? And we need to get into it. Shout out to everybody that deserves a shout out in the month of April. It's great to have you here. Thank you, and thank you so much. Let's talk about this closing the gap, right? One of the things that has occurred to me many times is, look, listen, we have to learn many, and this is something a lot of people have to learn. They have to learn to go from knowing to doing to results. All right, from knowing to doing to result. Nothing happens until there is a doing. The doing brings forth result. However, the doing is also is also hinged heavily on the knowing, and in between the knowing is understanding. In between the doing and the results is efficiency and effectiveness and innovation and exponential growth. So yes, you have three key pillars of knowing, doing, and results, but in between them, there are things that connect the dots in between them. And a lot of people just don't get this in the workplace, in the office, in their businesses, in their personal enterprises, in whatever sphere that they're in. They just don't get it. And the funny thing, this is not limited to age. It's not limited to. I mean, I've seen older folks. I've seen folks in my age group make the same mistake. Where understanding is lacking, there will be issues. And I need you to understand this. So let me start with a very simple question, all right? And I told you that this is the final episode of the series, and it's a loaded episode. So stick with me. Let me ask you a question. With everything going on around you, with the work that you're doing, with your deliverables in the office, with the new business that you just started or the business that is starting, with every strategic relationship that you have, with everything that is happening around about you, what has actually changed? I'm not talking about what you've heard. I'm not talking about what you've written down. When you come into sessions like this, a lot of people hear a lot of things, a lot of people write down, and all that is great. But that's not what I'm talking to about. And what I'm talking about is certainly not limited to that. So I'm saying to you, what has changed from the beginning of the year? to now, whether you've been on the connect or I mean you've been exposed to a lot of things from the beginning of the year, whether it is things that you self-thought or things that you were exposed to and you internalized, or whether it's things that you're externalizing, right? And we'll talk about that in a bit. But here's the thing, from January till now, this is the 26th day of the month of April 2026. What has changed? Not the things that you've heard. You hear me every Sunday in and out, so you can't say it's for lack of hearing. Nah, man, you hear me and you hear me real good. You've written down a lot of things, you type down a lot of things, you write down notes. Wow, this is powerful. My goodness, from impact to alignment. Oh my God, from alignment to impact. Oh my goodness. Hey, these AU said, AU said, AU said. I hear you. You write it down. Not what you intend to do. Hold on. All right, hold on, guys. I'm checking something on the dashboard, so I'm sending out a message right now. All right, thank you. So, not what you intend to do, but what has actually changed. Because, listen, until behavior changes, nothing changes. Not tools, not opportunities, not not systems, not structures. At the heart of it, until behavior changes, nothing changes. Now, you're probably wondering, why am I coming from here? Listen, we've had conversations in episodes that have gone past. We've had conversations about clarity. We've had conversations about discipline. We've had conversations about execution. But this is not about what you know. This episode is not about what you know. It's not about what you know. Rather, stay with me, stay with me. Rather, it's about what you have done. So, listen, the execution gap is not out there. And this is really what I want to bring home to you. The execution gap is not out there. The execution gap is in here. So the gap is within. The gap is within. The gap is within. The gap is between what you say and what you do. The gap is between what you know and what you do. The gap is between what you say and how you act. The gap is between what you want and what you commit to. That's where the gap is. So the gap is not some external thing, because many times when the gap is external, or we believe, or we've come to see, or we come to think that the gap is external, what happens is that we outsource responsibility. So we outsource responsibility, and every time that you outsource responsibility, what happens is that there's nothing within you that kicks in to remedy a situation. And why is this so important? Because it is in the gap that results die. Write that down, someone. It is in that gap that results die. Why am I onto this? Because many people are busy. I used to have a colleague. I used to have a staff that worked for me. Oh my God, he was busy. This guy redefined busyness. I thought I was a very busy person till I came into, till my space came into congruence with this guy. This guy was busy. He was busy. He was always on something. He came 1 hour before everyone, left 2 hours after everyone. It was busy, but was not effective. No, he wasn't. He wasn't. He wasn't a profit center. He was a cost center. He wasn't effective. He walked. This guy walked. He showed up. He was active, but I couldn't find his produce or his results or his productivity. I couldn't find it. I searched high, I searched low. I couldn't find it. Because, and I said to him one day, I was having a conversation with him. We're talking about the execution gap, right? And I was having a conversation with him, and I said, listen, I kind of get this. I kind of get this because if you're having a conversation with someone like that, they don't understand because you know what? Activity feels productive. Activities feel productive, but results prove productivity. And I'm like, I get that you look. I am if I wanted if there was an award for the busiest person in the office, I'll give it to you. But if there was an award for the most productive person in the office, you'll be very far from it. So just because he was active, and look, we're talking about execution gaps here, right? Just because he was active, he felt productive. If he was showing up, like I said, it was the first to the office, it was the last to leave, 2 hours after everybody else. He was always there. I dare say he was rightly dressed. It was everything except the most important thing. It was everything except the most important thing. Disciplined execution, productive execution. So, note this again. Activity feels productive, but results or outcomes will prove your productivity. And ladies and gentlemen, if you're going to be in any space, in your office, in your business, you need to consistently prove your productivity. You need to listen to me. Sit down and give you a pat on the back, or give you a hug, or give you a coffee, or no. You have to consistently hear me. Just the same way you have to consistently prove productivity in the market space. Just the same way you have to consistently prove productivity to your shareholders and your investors and your borrowers or lenders or whatever, to your funders or funding agents or funding parties. Just as you have to prove productivity to your stakeholders, you have to consistently prove, if you're an employee or an entrepreneur, prove productivity to your employer or his designate. You have to. Can I go further? I told you that this episode was really loaded. Really loaded. One of the things that I learned very quickly coming up through my career was this: that look, if you can't measure it, you can't improve it. And if you can't improve it, you can't scale it. And if you can't scale it, then the world doesn't have time to pay attention to it. So people start doing things, struggle with measuring it, cannot improve it, then lose rhythm. They break consistency, right? Then we start again. And it's not that happened because they lack ability. That happened because they lacked structure. Stay with me. I'm going somewhere with this. That happened because what? They lacked structure. And the thing about structure is, structure therefore now allows your execution to quickly find a methodology of refinement so that we can quickly correct, quickly adopt, quickly release. So that between the warmth of your mind and the terrains of reality, all right, between the warmth of your mind and the terrains of reality, you're able to connect the dots that deliver outcomes or results. In other words, it is not the lack of ability that has prevented you from executing effectively. It is largely the lack of structure, internal and external, that has created the lacuna, that has dissuaded you, discouraged you from executing effectively. Let's look at an execution model, right? So we're talking about closing the gap, because at the end of the day, look, I want you to do right. So let's look at an execution model. Let's call this CARE, care, right? I care about you, you care about me, we care, right? So let's talk about care. C stands for C stands for clarity. Clarity, right? This is different from the Casper, but it's embedded in the Casper framework if you know me well on Casper, right? But let's talk about care. So C stands for clarity. What exactly must be done? Every time you want to get something done, you have to first ask yourself, do I even have an understanding of what must be done? See, listen, let me tell you something. Your giftings, your abilities, your talents, your skill will mean nothing, will be misappropriated, misused, or misapplied if you don't even know what exactly it is you're supposed to get done. So seek understanding and clarity as regards the assignments and the tasks that you gave on. Dear employee, every time that your JD is given to you, or in this gig economy that we are, and your cyclic project is given to you, please understand the scope, understand what the principles of time and cost in relationship to the scope of the assignment that you've been given. Because without deep understanding of what it is, you really don't know what you need to deploy to achieve the assignment that you've been given. So clarity is very, very important. It's very, very important. Execution doesn't happen in a lacuna. Nature abhors vacuum. And so once you've gotten that clarity, the next thing that you have to check is, who am I going to be reporting to on this matter? Listen, I'm giving you hacks that are taking people 2 decades, 3 decades to be able to figure out in their career, and I'm serving it to you on a cold, maybe warm, I don't know, Sunday night, right? And I want you to take this with all degrees of seriousness. Listen, be clear, one, about your assignment. Clarity starts it. Two, who are you accountable to? Because listen, let me tell you something. Accountability is very, very important. Accountability is what straightens you, puts you on a straight, narrow path. Listen, let me tell you something. Regardless of how disciplined you are or what you think of yourself, accountability is necessary to you thriving. How do I know this? So, is accountability doesn't necessarily lie outside of you. Please understand this. If as a matter of fact, external accountability becomes easily deployable when internal accountability has a strong anchorage and footing. Oh, please, yeah, get that right. Get that right. Get absolutely get that right. So your internal accountability is helps you check. Remember, what isn't measured cannot improve. As a matter of fact, listen, what isn't measured does not exist. What is not documented does not exist. In other words, what isn't measured does not exist. What isn't measured does not improve. What doesn't improve does not scale. So the question is, who is checking, who is measuring? I talked about, I've always told you guys many times when I was on the bank. I remember one night I was overseeing a whole division. All right. I was a very early starter, early riser in the bank. And then I was overseeing a whole division. And then I did something wrong one time. I assumed somebody will do the right thing. And I took a decision based on an assumption. It was hellish. At about 2 a.m., the then managing director of my bank, sent me a text message asking for us to meet in the office at 9 a.m. the next day, Sunday. So it was Sunday, and I was in his office, and we sat down there. I was looking at him. There was nobody around in the office apart from those on essential duties. I know I literally thought to myself that I was going to get fired that day. Yeah, I'm not joking. I thought I was going to get fired because, listen, I had just done a facility. I assumed that those in the risk asset management department were going to do some due diligence and some things. And because I assumed, I signed up on something that I literally had no business signing up on. And if I was more vigilant and more attentive, it would have been a huge red flag and something that the bank would drop like a hot what? Hot dog, hot stick. I don't know, hot something. But you get what I mean. That the bank would drop, like a hot pan or hot sauce. So he said to me, and he sat down, said to me, and I'll never forget that, lessons of life. And he said to me, and he said, listen to me, Anekan, people will do now. Some of you may not have heard this background story, but you heard me make the statement I'm about to make. So now you're getting the full picture, right? Listen up. So he said to me, he said, listen, people will do what you inspect, not what you expect. I'll say that again. He said to me, Anekan, people will do what you inspect and not what you expect. And that day, something in me shifted radically. The power of accountability, and I could spend a whole day talking about it. The power of accountability. Check yourself. You need inner accountability, then you're well advised to have external accountability. So the first is C, all right, of our CARE execution model. The first is C, which speaks of clarity. I talked about that. There must be a deep understanding to what exactly it is that you're expected to do, right? The next is A, there must be accountability. Who's checking you? Who's checking what you're doing? Is it the regulators? Is it, and all your stakeholders must have some sort of check on you. Because a man without check is a man that is nothing better than a beast. So you must have a check. The next is rhythm. Now, I like this one, rhythm. So C, clarity, A, accountability, R, rhythm. R, rhythm. There must be a pattern to what you do. That's what system building is about. There must be, you must be able to replicate something, you must be able to scale it, and you must be able to do all of this consistently. So the question that you're asking is, when does what you do happen consistently? When does it happen consistently? Execution, effective execution is not a one-off thing. Effective execution in the workplace, in business, in your life is consistent execution. That consistency delivers a result that a one-off execution can never, listen to me, read my lips, ever deliver. And so the E in the CARE is evaluation. You've got to measure, very similar to accountability. Yes, there's measure, but who is checking? But for E, who's evaluating? What are you measuring? What are you measuring? What are you measuring? Because look, if you're not measuring things right, chances are that you're not taking the right decisions. Decisions are hinged on the quantity one, the quality two of the information that you have. So the information is data, right? Your ability to analyze that data is hinged on the integrity of that data. The integrity of that data is also hinged on the relevance of that data. So, what are you measuring? When are you measuring it? And how are you measuring it? And how are you measuring? And I know the HR folks on this call right now are getting pretty excited because this is how I tell I was having a conversation with a business partner a couple of years ago, and I said, look, listen, I am working on a model, right? I do a lot of consulting with organizations. I'm working on a model that rightly appraises people. I still believe that's not to be. I still believe that there are many faulty models that are used or frameworks that are used to appraise employees or appraise stakeholders, and decisions are taken based on faulty metrics, and there's a problem with that. And I'm challenging people with like minds to be able to see that. And there's something that we're working on that we'll be sharing very soon. So don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Dear employee, I'm coming for you. All right. So note this. Clarity starts it. It's so important that you start with clarity. You must understand clarity. Accountability sustains it, and that's key. Rhythm stabilizes it. Evaluation improves it. Can I say that again? Clarity starts it. Accountability sustains it. Rhythm stabilizes it. Evaluation improves it. And really, 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 that's really the heart of what I came to share with you today. Now, understand, let me bring this to you. Check this. There's something you already know you should be doing right now. There's something that you on Facebook, you on YouTube, you on LinkedIn, there's something that you know that you should be doing. You that's going to get the hundreds and thousands of people that are going to get to watch the recordings later. You know that there's something that you should be doing. You've known it for weeks. Some of you have known this for months. Some of you have known this for years, right? You've known this for years, and you have not done it consistently. Why? Why? Not because it is hard, but because you have not decided to. And you have not decided to. We're talking about the power of decision. You have not decided to because you haven't seen reason to. Listen, execution is not a knowledge problem. Execution is a decision problem. That's what I came to share with you. So it's not a knowledge problem. Sir, I celebrate the fact that you know. In fact, you are knowing Noah. You are that good at knowing. But sir, ma, you have not yet taken a decision to get it done. You have not yet taken a decision to get it done. Whew. Time is going. Listen, guys, tonight is not about learning. I teach, and by the grace of God, I teach pretty good. But I'm telling you that tonight is not about learning. Tonight is about decision. As we bring this series to a close in this month of April, by next Sunday, which will be the first Sunday in the month of May, I'll start in a new series that will run through the days, the months of the weeks of May. But tonight, I want to hold hands and lock hearts with you to make certain decisions. You will either continue the cycle of knowing but not doing, of doing but not doing consistently, of having pseudo results but never full impact, of having a type of or a shadow of but never the real deal, or you'll break it. In other words, you either play in the warmth of your mind or you will step out to the terrains of reality. You either stay in the place, in the boulevard or lane of intention, or you move into the avenue of execution. Pick one thing. Do it now. One thing. One thing. If you want to share with me later on, feel free. If you have access to me, feel free. If you don't, share on whatever platform that you're on. But I want you to pick one thing. I want you to define what you will do. Number one. I want you to define when you will do it. And number three, I want you to define how you will measure it. Number one, what you will do. Take a decision, decide today. There are things that I've already written down in my leather-bound book. And I said, look, in the month of May, this is what I will do. And nothing is going to shift me off it. Because, like I said to you, I have come to learn that execution is not a knowledge thing. Execution is a decision thing. Take that decision. What will you do? When will you do it? How will you measure it? Because you've heard enough. You've learned enough. You've planned enough. Now, my friends, it's time to execute. It's time to execute. Listen, your future. I was sharing with a few friends a few days ago, and I said, listen, your future is not built on what you know, it's built on what you're doing and what you're doing consistently. What you're doing consistently. There's something about doing it enough. I always give the analogy of a tea, of you drinking tea. And you have a teacup, and again, I will always say, I hope it's a teacup. Some of you drink in drums. You have a teacup, and you have a tea bag, and you have some cream and some brown sugar. Maybe not some sugar, you have some honey. And all those things together will give you a nice cup of tea. But if the water in which you're going to dip the tea bag isn't hot enough, it may be lukewarm, meaning that it's neither hot neither cold, but not hot enough to deliver a result. Some of you are not doing enough to deliver a result. The enough comes from the place of consistency. All right, I need to double up with the lights. Comes from the place of consistency. That's where the enough comes from. The place of what? Consistency. In the same vein, listen, you could be baking, right? And I like this analogy a lot. You could be baking and you've done all your mix, and then you put your stuff in the oven, and then it's there in the oven. The oven has already been preheated, and then you put your pan in the oven. What do you think happens if you bring out your pan before the prerequisite time that it has been allocated for the cake mix to bake? What happens if you bring it before time? Your cake doesn't get formed. There's something about it being enough. Listen, part of what I came to say to you today is that you've got to start doing something, but guess what? You have to be mindful that you're doing it enough. Life and everything that you ever have will be built on what you do consistently. It will be built on what you do consistently. So this is not about, I tell you all the time that every time I speak to you, three things will happen. Number one, I will inform you. Number two, I will inspire you. But much more important than the first two, number three, I will instruct you, because instruction will push you to executing, to action. So I don't want you to leave here inspired. Please don't. I don't want you to say, "Oh my God, did you listen to AU?" No, no, no. I want you to leave this episode decided. Absolutely decided. That you've decided to act, you've decided to be consistent, you've decided to close the gap. Execution is the bridge, the difference between your potential and your results. So I want you to take everything that I've shared with you over the last 3 Sundays in the month of April, and I want you to close that gap of non-execution, to close that gap of lethargy, that gap that doesn't allow you to do what you ought to do often enough to get the results. It's not in an attempt. It's not in doing for the sake of doing. If you're results oriented and impact focused and influence aligned, then you will ask the question of how much do I need to do? There's what do I need to do and how much of it do I need to do? It's a question I ask myself consistently. Yeah, there's something we need to do. What do we need to do? How much of it do we need to do? Because the element of success and the breakthrough that you require for the outstanding and amazing and phenomenal results that you can have in life is tied to how much of it you are willing to do. In other words, what's the worth of what you're about to deliver? In other words, how much are you sacrificing to get it done? That's what execution is all about. That's every significant thing I've ever done in my life, every major milestone, every shift, everything that has delivered amazing results took clarity, it took accountability, It took a rhythm, and it took a whole lot of evaluation. In other words, care about what you're doing. Did you get that? Care about what you're doing. Have clarity about what you're doing. Have accountability with regards to what you're doing. Have rhythm to what you're doing. And please evaluate what you're doing. Show some care to what you're doing. That's how you close the execution gap. Having said that, I want to thank you for joining me yet again for this Sunday's episode of Connect and our last episode in the month of April. Thank you, and thank you so much. Everybody who comes in, whether you are live or those that will join in the course of the week and watch the recorded sessions. Thank you, thank you, thank you for every message, every email, every feedback that I get from you almost on a daily basis, week in, week out. Thank you so much. Next Sunday, we're going to be starting a brand new series that will run through the Sundays of May, and we look forward to an amazing time. Telling you about watch this space over the week, and all the other portals and platform where we make all the announcements as regards what's coming up next week. Have a super great one. Share your thoughts with me as usual, and best wishes. Have a super productive week, and let's keep connecting. Good night, everyone, and cheers.